Okay, hello guys, my name is Mia Marie and you are currently watching my Synastry Compatibility series where I go through all the 12 signs, sun signs, and how they get along. Now, as a general disclaimer, we reference so much more than just the sun sign for compatibility, but the importance of the sun and understanding someone's sun sign and accepting it and supporting it is that the sun sign describes the motives, the behaviors, the experiences that contribute to someone's sense of sanity. So we're not talking so much about what someone needs emotionally or how they flirt or what makes them great in bed, all of those very, romantic topics. We're talking about how to support someone's vitality, someone's sense of self, and someone's healing human journey. So keep in mind that this is just a gentle introduction and you can get so much more by booking a session with me or another fantastic astrologer. Those who are born with their sun in Cancer came into this world wanting to bring the soul into form. They may not think about it that way, but they see the oneness in everything. Literally, from the carrot, the vegetable, to a rabbit, an animal, from an animal to a human, from a human to a culture, from one culture to another culture. Everything is a life worth protecting and nourishing and loving. Cancer is represented as the mother in astrology, the womb. And what do we see when we look at a womb? We see something that is protective, something that is supportive. And so you have that quality with Cancer where they want to create a sense of security in the external world. They're represented by the crab, that tough shell that protects that tender meat inside. That's exactly what a Cancer is like. And if you've ever heard of Cancer, then you know what that shield feels like, because they will go inside of themselves. They will shut you off. You cannot penetrate that shell without truly breaking them, but it's nearly impossible. Another thing about the shell is that it's their home. They carry their home on their back, and it's hard for them to put things down. We're thinking about those little crabby hands. Whether it's things, they can't let go of things, they can't let go of old lovers. They want to collect everything because they've chosen that thing for a specific reason. And another quality to Taurus, to Cancer, is that they want to experience what love looks like long-term with a partner, with a family member, with a pet. They're willing to see it through. They're emotionally equipped and programmed for the trials and tribulations that come with sticking with someone for the long haul, the long run. I mean, as we all know, our family members are sometimes the people that make us want to pull our hair out. Now, I'm not talking about toxic relationships where you should distance yourself from family. I'm just talking about the normal family trials and tribulations. My mom is irritating me. My dad is a handful. My siblings are this and that. Cancer is the person that says, you know what, but we're blood and I love you. And it's still safe, right? It's safe to love you, but we have to change things. Let's work on this. That's what Cancer is focused on. It's also ruled by the moon. And just like in real life, the moon affects the ocean directly. And so Cancerians have that quality to when they're feeling a specific way, they are not trying to emotionally manipulate you, though they're not above that, but they're not trying to make you feel a certain way. It's just when they are glowing like that, they are going to pull you into their emotions because that is the exchange of energy that you guys are partaking in. Pure, undisturbed Cancer energy is sensitive and introverted. And how this manifests is if you're at a party or if you're at their house, probably. If you're at their house and they're hosting, they, without you knowing, are taking intel on everything about you. Your vibe, your tone, your posture, what you're wearing. They want to know where you are emotionally and they won't say anything to you. They're just like, okay, noted. Oh, I noticed that. Oh, that's interesting. And they'll let you repeat the pattern. And after it happens a couple of times, they might come over and give you a hug, but they're not going to confront you. They're not confrontational. They would much rather things come out in a soft way, naturally, when you're ready. If they're concerned about you, then they will, make you dinner or they'll take you out somewhere and then they'll talk about it. But it won't be like, whoa, they're not all up in your face like that. They want you to feel completely yourself. And something I've noticed about Sun in Cancer is that they have strong career aspirations. They perform well at work. And it's not because they love their job, though oftentimes they do. It's because what their job does for their family or their sense of security or their quality of life. They want to be providers. They want to be the person that anyone in their family or their life can go to when they need any type of support, emotional, financial. They are the mother. Now let's talk about some deal breakers. Cancer will not like if you disapprove of or discourage them spending time with their family or chosen few. They like making their rounds. They like spending time with their friends. They like spending time with their family. They will make a point to spend time with their family, their kids, their parents. It's important to them and their sense of self. Their sanity hinges on their ability to stay connected to their community emotionally. The second thing that they dislike is black and white thinking to the point where you prize separation, because you have to think about it, right? They see the oneness in everything. They see the connectedness in everything. They see love everywhere they look. And so if you're someone who swears on this being that way and this being that way, Cancer is going to feel turned off. Come on, be better. Speaking solely to the sun sign, Cancer's love language is probably quality time, acts of service. They like when they're with you for you to be present with them. You're not on your phone, you're not distracted with something else. They like the exchange of bonding and sharing an experience together. And the way that they love you is they do things for you. They do your laundry, they make you food, they pack your lunch, they clean the house, they tidy things up. That's their way of saying, like, I'm paying attention to what you need, and because all these things are handled, life is easier for us all. You know you're in hot water and deep water with Cancer when they shut off. When all you see is the shell. They don't give two fucks how you're doing, how you're holding yourself, what you're saying, what you're doing, if you're comfortable, if you're fed. Suddenly you've just fallen off their radar and they're moody towards you. In fact, when they do speak towards you, the emotional intelligence comes out and they know how to arouse a specific reaction. They are calculating in the way that they're talking to you. Everything becomes like just duty. The opposite sign is what comes out, Capricorn. So the Capricorn expression is there really is little heart, and it's all about, well, we have to talk because we're business partners, or we have to talk because I am in some way, shape, and form related to you, but they're cold, they're distant and detached. So in whole, a sun in Cancer is emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware, sensitive, receptive, nurturing, protective, and they're focused on sustaining something for its entire life. Whether it's a plant, a vegetable, a relationship, they're the best lovers. Someone who is born with their sun in Aquarius has a soul that came into this world to awaken our consciousness. It's almost as if they have a different set of eyes than the rest of us. They see the world differently. And a lot of the time, stereotypical astrology is like, oh my God, you're trying to be different or you're trying to be unique. No, that's just the way that they see the world. And often it creates this immediate recognition that you don't fit anywhere. Aquarius doesn't fit in any specific space, and it creates social anxiety. They don't know how to act. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. There is an ambivalence towards being around people because they don't quite, it doesn't compute in their head. Their minds are like computers. They are the 11th sign, which means that they are the third, the eldest air sign. So they take the perspective, the information that Gemini collects, they know that they have a mind, and then they take the information that Libra collects, they know how to put themselves in other people's shoes, they know how to compromise, they know how to negotiate, they know how to establish trust, and then they go, okay, how do we get everyone to trust each other? How do we create a community? And how do we develop this community? How do we transform our experience of life together? How do we elevate everybody? The interesting paradox with Aquarius is that they are knowledgeable, they're a resource, they have leadership skills, they are often the people that others go to when they don't know what to do as it relates to a community or a group activity. They're human rights activists. They can find the gaps in structures. They know how to advance us in a very positive way, but they don't like being the center of attention. And oftentimes they don't like talking about themselves. They may feel internally like they don't want to attach to a label because they have a hard time accepting and celebrating the ego. They're the opposite of Leo. Leo is all about here's my personality, here's how I shine. Aquarius takes that attitude but positions it towards the community. How can we shine? How can we develop? How can we be celebrated in the most honest and authentic way? And so you'll find that they're comfortable behind a computer or on a phone, but can be a little socially awkward. I think that they would feel socially awkward, or as if there is never a place for them, even when they are in a community. And this feeling can be uncomfortable for them at first. It can manifest as social anxiety, and they may even avoid social situations depending on where they are inside of their head. But it serves a purpose. And that purpose is that you need to remain detached enough so that you can innovate, so that you can think your own thoughts, so that you can go off in your own direction. And oftentimes they're trailblazers, they're trendsetters. They are always 10 steps ahead of the community. And because they are also a fixed sign, they're stubborn, they are unmovable in that. They have to have a certain level of confidence in their ideas and opinions in order to say, no, I'm not going to conform. You are going to come here. And here's why you're going to come here. And this is how it benefits you. And this is how the human race is developing, whether you like it or not. They have this amazing ability to gaze into space and project a very clear image of a future that is totally within our capability. Like, we can totally arrive to that space with them. I've said this and I will continue to say it, that even though Aquarius is an air sign, it is very sensitive, more sensitive than it realizes. And what happens when they're overstimulated is they become numb and they detach. This is the soul wound of someone who has strong Aquarius in their chart, because things are always changing, and because these changes affect so many people in so many negative ways that they feel equipped or responsible for repairing. They will detach from the part of themselves that cares, just to stay afloat, just to stay with the changes in culture and society. And so there is this robotic tone to them, or there can be just an obvious lack of emotion. You can be struggling with something and you can be crying in front of them and explaining all the which ways that you're heartbroken or let down, or and just the opposite. You could be super happy about something and there's this robot before you like, I understand. The way of loving is that they've often researched what you're going through and what's going on in your brain and how humans typically act and how to repair that specific thing. And so they're able to like spit back this report to solve your problem, but it can be hard for them to stay in the emotion or to sympathize with you. And it's not a reflection of how much they do or don't care about you. It's more so a reflection of their internal state of being. It's hard for them to access emotions. Surprisingly enough, however, they make excellent partners because they understand the Libra lesson of trust and compromise. But they also are not looking for something hot and fiery, that flirty fling that Gemini wants. They want a friend. They understand that if they are going to commit to something long-term, they have to be with someone that they like. They don't have to have the same interests, but this person has to be stimulating and intelligent and good-hearted and good-spirited. They want to be with their best friend. That is their ideal partner. And so they may hesitate to commit. I haven't heard too many complaints about Aquarius people not getting into relationships, but when they do, it tends to last because they do think long-term. And they often choose someone from I don't want to say non-emotional space, because the spirit, the soul does respond to people, but it's not so much about how you make them feel. It's that you guys are just so compatible with each other that it makes sense for you to be together. And that's why Valentine's Day surprises everybody that it's in an Aquarius season. But traditionally, that's when people were getting married. And statistically, Aquarians have the most success when they get married because, again, they marry for the right reasons. They're using their head and their soul together to make the just call. Aquarius and love, they will want to talk to you. They'll want to know what you're thinking, what you've learned, what is stimulating you. They're going to have those late night conversations. They're going to be very present with you. And again, not super emotional about it, but they are wanting to collect data on you. They're going to master you in one way, shape, and form. That's a kind of hidden quality to them, is that they're constantly collecting data on you. So they can put it into their computer and they know what to expect and they know what you want and they know where you are mentally, emotionally. And they're just so friendly. That's what it is. They're just so nice to be around. I don't have any complaints about an Aquarius. Now, some downsides to dating an Aquarius, or not downsides, but what they don't like, is they don't like somebody who is negative, emotional, or moody, because it flies in the face of their energy. And it's not so much that you affect their mood, it's that what you're saying and what you're doing is irritating and inefficient and a waste of time. And those are all things that they prize. They like being efficient. They like using energy positively. And if you're focused on things from the past or things that you can't control, then you're not making good use of this brilliant brain that you have. Another thing they won't like is if you're impolite or rude to other people, or if you don't care about social movements. If you are mispronouncing people's names after they've corrected you, if you're not in the know about what communities are working through what, or if you have a blatant disregard for the overall quality of humanity and people's lives, they will have no respect for you, because this is what their life is about. They are in service to people. They are trying to break the minds, the structures that keep us bound and limited and trapped in a pastime. And so you embodying that energy, it's like, oh my God, no, you're the enemy, you're the foe. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Uranus is the modern ruler, but Saturn is the traditional ruler. And so typically you have two types of Aquarius. And what's interesting is that they embody both of them at different times of their life. So either the Aquarius person comes in very quirky, atypical, doesn't fit in, and then as time goes on, they become more Capricorn-like. They're more serious and they're about the mission and the rules and following protocols. Or you have someone who ages backwards, who is all about the rules and tools and following what authority says and doing what you're supposed to do. And then they get really quirky in their older years. So it just depends. Now, going back to deal breakers, Aquarians are rebellious by their programming. They come into this world needing to stir shit up, needing to awaken our consciousness to pull us along. If it weren't for Aquarians, we wouldn't have women's rights. We wouldn't have gay rights. It's that energy that progresses us as the human race. And so if they are trying to rebel against a specific structure and they're starting to embody that rebellious energy, and you shun them and you further ostracize them, if you are not a friend or an ally in their development and experimentation, they're going to want to leave you, because they're stubborn. That's what they do. They dig their heels in. They won't be emotional about it. They won't yell at you. They won't raise their voice. They won't criticize you. They'll just sit you down and say, you know, this isn't working out. I don't think we're a good match. And they can do this because their passion is towards people, groups, social reform. And so they don't inherently want or see the need for a partner, unless they have a partner who, you know, is truly a partner and shows up for them and supports them. Then they understand the value of that relationship. But until that point, if you're just a nuisance, if you're just another critic, if you're just someone who makes them feel more weird than they already feel, what's the point of having you? See your way to the door. Thank you. Bye. I will say this though. One thing that I've noticed through working with clients with Aquarius placements is that once they are in a committed relationship, and they have in their minds that I'm going to be with this person for the long run, if they actually have married somebody and it's not working out, it can take them a long time to actually leave. And it's because they're committed. They're stubborn. They're a fixed sign. They often do what they believe in. And I think that's kind of the lesson that you learn when you're with these types of partners, is Aquarians awaken to their own unconscious motives through these dysfunctional relationships. They self-actualize through these relationships that don't work, but that fixed quality allows them to stay in relationships that they would otherwise recognize as unhealthy. But all in all, Aquarius is a great partner in I would say passion, I would say play, but it's neither of those. They're just a great partner to have in life because they will commit to you, they won't play games, and they are focused on something bigger than themselves at all times. They want to make an impact. They want to help us all grow and develop. Sun in Cancer, Sun in Aquarius, another combination that I would not expect. These two are not too similar, but their differences don't get in each other's way, I would say. So let's jump into it. To begin with, we're going to start off at the basics. Cancer is a water sign and Aquarius is an air sign, which means that the fuel, the things that they need to digest to feel full and healthy and safe are different. Cancer needs emotional connection. It needs to have a family. It needs to have a clan. It needs to have something to mother. It needs a rich emotional life. And Aquarius is very cerebral, intellectual. It's focused on executive functioning. It is a visionary. And in fact, it kind of has the same glaziness over its eyes that a Pisces has. But Pisces is daydreaming, like wishful thinking, and Aquarius is looking at something and superimposing another reality on top of it that performs better than what it currently sees. And so there's not too much crossover in terms of their interests. Now, I will say that they are both concerned with the well-being of others, but for different reasons. Aquarius wants to make its mark in communities, multiple communities, marginalized groups, social justice, social reform. It wants to deal with the bigger picture. It doesn't want to be the shining star. It doesn't even really want to be a part of the nitty gritty. It just wants to look at the structures of things and innovate from a distance, ideally like behind a computer or so Aquarius will be working away from that and becoming more human within the next 20 years, but more on that in a different video. And Cancer is focused on its immediate environment. Well, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And Cancer doesn't even usually have to ask because it's so intuitive, psychic, and emotional that just by the way you carry yourself into a room, it understands exactly where you are. And if it knows you, it knows what you need at the same time. And so they both like to show up for the people that they care about. Cancer will want to be the mother, and Aquarius will want to just plant seeds of light in people's lives, and they want the community to shine. Now, Cancer is an introverted sign, again, just solely looking at the sun. And this is somebody who wakes up in the morning feeling recharged, rested, ready to go. And the moment that they step outside of the house, their battery starts to drain. An Aquarius person wakes up like, okay, my body needed rest, but now I need energy. And they generate energy by moving. And so the easiest way that this may manifest as a challenge is Sunday. Let's go Sunday. Sunday morning, they both wake up and it's like, oh, today is our day to just enjoy, to relax, to bathe in the energy that we have. Cancer will probably want to stay home or have people over for a dinner party. And Aquarius will be like, no, I actually gotta go. I have to go do something. I have to move my body. It has to move to generate the type of energy that Cancer gets from sleeping. And so, I think it's pretty easy for them to allow the other to do what they need. But Cancer may kind of feel like they're walking through life without a partner if, their partner is always needing to do something else. If they're on opposite schedules, that might bother a Cancer because they do want partnership and companionship. And, they are totally capable and willing to be flexible to what their partner needs. So I don't see it being a deal breaker, but I do see the spouts of loneliness kind of getting to them from time to time. Now, some obvious problem areas with this connection is that Cancer wants an emotional connection. It wants to feel like you are with them, you're holding them, you understand them. And Aquarius is not good at being emotional. It just is disconnected from its emotional body. It's not that it doesn't care about you, though it may look like that. It may look like an Aquarius doesn't care, but really you, Cancer, is exhibiting behaviors and emotions that most Aquarians have only read about. They're like, wow, you are really upset. And that is a genuine response to Cancer, who's like, oh my God, Aquarius is like with the broom, like there, you'll be okay. And this can kind of make Cancer feel alone in a romantic relationship. There are times where, this is just based on my meetings with clients, there can be this dynamic where Cancer is considered needy and clingy and moody to an Aquarius. Because again, you know, water signs, personal oriented signs need to throw tantrums. Cancer is one of those people who once a month just needs to bawl their eyes out. You know, they need to throw a fit. And Aquarius, I won't say they would think less of Cancer, but it would create kind of like a you're down here, I'm up here kind of a thing. And they would just sit there and witness the Cancer. Like, are we done throwing the are we okay now? We're okay now. Okay. And what can happen is if Cancer's emotions get so big, if their emotions are so unstable in the eyes of an Aquarius will just detach and will stop showing up for Cancer in the ways that are expected. It's kind of like the queen of ghosting. Again, we're talking low functioning relationships, but these are the trials and tribulations that come. Is the Cancer's emotions are strong and powerful, and Cancers have the ability to pull you into their emotions, and Aquarius spends a lot of time trying to detach from that emotion, and so they just won't show up, or they won't text back, or they will disappear for hours until they have the space in their brain to hold whatever it is that you're bringing to them. Now, the benefit of this combination is that Cancer can remind Aquarius that, you know, I love that you, this is what a Cancer would say. Well, probably in better words because they're so much more gentle than me, but they would probably say, I love that you care so much about communities, you know, across the country who are suffering and who are struggling for equal rights or whatever it may be. But your family is also struggling. The people in your home are also struggling, and you are emotionally unavailable for them in a way that is creating a similar trauma that you are trying to process in the external world, that you're trying to manage in the external world. And, you know, this community matters too, in so many words. And Aquarius, I think, would take that to heart, and they would try and make an effort to step more into their emotional body. Now, it's not going to happen instantaneously. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think that language is something that would reel an Aquarius in. And with the Cancer, a Cancer wants to create a safe space, a comfortable space. It makes relationship easy. Well, it makes emotions easier. Aquarius might be intimidated. It may feel like it's drowning in emotions, but Aquarius is addressing the soul wound of detachment, of not understanding the fullest value of emotions. And so Cancer offers that to them. You know, like, you can experience emotions here in a safe place. I can help you. I mean, of course, I'm thinking high functioning sides of both people. And Aquarius can teach a Cancer to sit in the seat of the soul. They probably won't use that language, but Aquarius can say, you know what, sometimes emotions happen and we don't immediately have to give into it. We don't have to choose to ride that wave. Sometimes we can witness the wave, and it gives a different type of peace. And then another way is that Cancer tends to shut down when when it's overwhelmed or it feels nervous or vulnerable. But Aquarius will require that we talk about things, that you open your mouth. Aquarius will not be able to read the room in the same way that a Cancer will, and a Cancer will recognize that how they're communicating is not working. And so you might have that an initial wrestling of, you don't understand me, or you don't speak my language. It's like, okay, well, this is a relationship where we're going to have to learn to code switch. Cancer, you're going to have to learn to use your words when you don't want to. And if you can't talk, set a timer, go back in there and finish the conversation. And Aquarius, you're going to have to put in some legwork. You're going to have to swim in the oceans of emotion so you can connect with your person. I think that they offer something that the other person is missing in a really beneficial way. But I do think on a soul level, you know, it's not something that's going to happen automatically. These two, I mean, I am blessed to only have really healthy Cancer people in my life and really healthy Aquarius people in my life. And so, you know, I do think that these are both really friendly, positive, optimistic. I mean, Cancer, you know, they ride the waves of emotion, but they genuinely mean really well almost all the time. And so I think that this would be a wild card combination that could go so many different ways. You guys would bring each other unexpected gifts. You know, this is the kind of relationship where it's like, oh, I didn't even know that I needed that. And then here it is. Like, wow, thank you for teaching me how to feel, says Aquarius. And thank you for teaching me how to think more deeply and broadly, says Cancer. But yes, this is only one configuration of literally over 2,000. So if you would like to learn more about your relationship or your birth chart, you can book a reading with me at wellandrising.com/services. Toodles.